Back here on Across the Board with Ian the Colonel here at hawkradio.org and acrosstheboardradio.com. We bring you the best bands that have been around forever and the best bands that you may not have heard of yet. And a band that I recently, again, ashamedly so, just recently became aware of, AllurA, out of L.A., Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach area. And we've got AJ on with us right now. AJ, welcome to the big show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, first off, we're in Maryland, and it's freezing here. What's the weather like out in SoCal right now?
I mean, it's pretty cold for Southern California, but I mean, you guys would probably be in, tank top and
cold for you is what, 62?
Yeah, pretty much. Not a big deal at all.
Hate him. But yeah, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa, oh god, incredible areas out there. In any case, let's talk about AllurA. Like I said, recently became aware of you guys and love everything that I've heard so far. AllurAband.com, by the way, is a place to check them out. AllurAband.com. By the way, in doing our research, we also found that the AllurA band is a jewelry item, right?
It's like a wedding band, yeah.
Right, and AllurA is also a line of bras.
It's a lot of things I've heard. I've found there's some like sort of wheels cars that have
Nice.
AllurA.
Nice.
Wow.
And also, if you type it into Google, it's also a porn star as well.
Outstanding. There you go. You're in good company, I guess.
Apparently my research was not thorough enough. I apologize.
So AllurAband.com is the place to check these guys out. Now, AJ, the band is you and your brother are kind of the core of the band, and you guys moved some people around from there. Drummer became singer and everything from there. Talk about the formation of the band and what we can expect coming up. And you guys have 2 albums out right now, but when can we expect the third here?
Yeah, I guess that's true. We've been around for, 5 years now. Me and my brother were in this other, punk rock band growing up and stuff. And, we started taking it more seriously, and we got an opportunity to be on Warped Tour for the first time in '07.
Yeah.
And at that point, we just kind of decided to, it became AllurA, it became more metal and all that good stuff. And he was actually the original drummer for AllurA, and now he's the singer.
Right. So
and,
then,
our second album came out about a year ago, and we're playing and touring on that. We got another tour lined up in February, and we are in the process of writing a new album, actually, as we speak.
So you just said recently that you had decided to go more metal. What prompted that change, and what changes did you decide to make?
I guess it wasn't as conscious as I guess I meant to say. It was just kind of pretty natural. That was all what was just coming out. That was what we were writing and everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we all listen to everything, not just that at all. But that's kind of what comes out when we write together. So.
Okay.
Now, we've been to Warped Tour, covering things backstage, doing interviews, and seeing every band the past couple of years. Incredible, but also it seems to be pretty draining on the bands that participate. You're in a new city, if you remember even where it is, every day, and you're playing 30-minute sets, and you're out and on the road again. How tough is that, and what kind of keeps you sane as you're on the road for so long, away from family?
Taylor's actually with me now too, my other guitar player.
Okay, what's up, Taylor?
So it's Taylor and me. There's nothing really that keeps you sane. What sort of makes you insane? It's inevitable. You just go insane. It's like a carnival. It's really tough to keep up with all of it. But at one point in time, you're gonna go insane. That's just a given.
Right.
Who are some of the best bands that you guys have seen? Over the past couple of years, we've asked some of the big bands, who else are you looking forward to seeing? And they've said bands like Bad Rabbits, Automatic Love Letter.
For me personally, I recall Thrice being on the Warped Tour, and kind of like it was like a diamond in the rough, because they're on their way out. But I don't know if you know, but they're no longer performing together. That was always a huge band influence for me, and to be able to be on the same tour as them was just an honor. I to this day go nuts for those guys.
And I think two bands that we hadn't really listened to previously until like being on the same tour with them, but like Alexis and Fire and Under Us were extremely fun to watch on a daily basis.
Good call.
So then, out of the bands that you did perform with on Warped, who were the bands that you didn't get to see that you wanted to? Because we know how hectic the Warped schedule can be, and you don't always get to see who you want to see because of the way they change the schedules around and change the stages. Who's the band that you didn't get to see?
Here in 2009, I had heard a lot about, and other people had just kind of brought it up in conversation in passing, like, oh, there's this band, like, oh, Day to Remember, they're all right, like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I gotta check those guys out at some point in time. I never made it around to checking them out, and then, like, 1 year later, they're just huge.
Right.
Yeah.
They're huge, and, like, I listened to a few of their songs, and listening to a few of the songs, they're like, oh yeah, I recognize that. Like, I heard that in the back of my head at some point in time on Warped Tour. But that was a band that I wish I had gotten to enjoy in their smaller stages. But that was a band that just completely went right by me, and never saw that, or like never saw them, or never got to talk to them until it was like too late, and they were just huge.
Got it. Taylor, let me ask you, we recently had Tab Benoit on the show, who I don't know if he's a Delta blues guitarist, just a legend down in Louisiana. And we were talking about the craft of guitar. And he said that, lead guitarists are sort of, they're not a dime a dozen, but they're pretty easy to find out there. However, if you are a good rhythm guitarist, then you can have a job any day of the week. So talk about your role as a rhythm guitarist and how important it is, where a lot of people just hear, the lead out there screaming and that kind of stuff. What's it like to really carry the melody?
I feel like, I completely support what he's saying. I feel like it's very similar to like a team, like a sports team of some sort.
Okay.
I feel like the rhythm guitar is in some way like the sixth man, like in basketball.
Right.
That comes off the bench, like revitalizes it. I mean, there's a lot of different roles, and it depends on who your lead guitarist is, I suppose. But just that relationship alone, just the guitarist alone, is extremely important. And to be able to support such talented leads, like such talented lead guitarists, like AJ's, he just keeps stepping it out day after day after day after day.
Right.
I'm just trying my best to keep up with him. But instead of like trying to keep up with him and just like solo to solo and like making the guitar scream at each other all the time, I try my best to just be tasteful and throw things in when they need, like when it feels needed. You don't want to just overcrowd a song or do too much. Like it is very much a patience game. You just kind of like you gotta be aware of their talent and how to support it, and how to almost like how to make the lead guitar even sound more like a lead guitar. For sure.
Yeah, that's the key, like you said, knowing what sonic space you can fill, and that's hard in a metal band. The heavier you get, there's less space to fill.
Absolutely, yeah. There's not a lot of metal bands out there that are worried about the crescendo of the song, if you will.
Right. And talk about some of the influences that you've had to acquire over your career as well, because I know you mentioned being really influenced when you got to see Thrice, and they've been such an influential band on many other bands as well. But what's probably one of the least visible influences you've had, something that's kind of been like an underlying tone that no one's quite picked up on yet?
Well, I personally have always, thanks to my mom's played music, but I've always been a fan of folk music.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like singer-songwriters in general. But somebody that I personally love, like the Avett Brothers, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Yes, absolutely.
Their songwriting capability, bottom line, songwriting, like to write a good song, like to write a good story. Those guys influence me so much. Like, they're just amazingly talented. And of course, nobody at all is going to be able to pick that up in our music.
Right.
A metal hardcore band, but just folk in general and folk stories, to me, are just so they just entrap you so easily. They're so relatable, you know.
Yeah.
That I personally, especially on this new album that we're going to start writing, that's something that I really want to try to connect with. I want to be able to just tell as simple of a story as, you know, like a man going to work, but keep it extremely entertaining just by lyrically and how the song is created, you know.
Okay. But that's exactly the type of answer I was looking for, was something that wasn't in the music itself that you produce, but definitely has an influence.
Kind of outside the metal box,
yeah.
the metalcore box.
Really
yeah.
good answer.
Across the board here with AJ and Taylor from AllurA. Now, both of you being guitarists, what do you look for to create your tone? Everyone's always chasing tone. You'll never recreate it the same way twice. But, you know, when you're recording and writing, what do you look for? I mean, do you have, you know, massive pedal boards in front of you? Do you play clean? You know, what do you work through?
We actually we've never really dabbled too much with the pedals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we worked with a producer on the last album a little bit, and he, you know, he kind of took the reins on that one a little bit. We put it in his hands, but, you know, we kind of go through a lot of albums and sit down with whoever we're working with and just try to, you know, come up with the best tone that we want to go for and stuff.
Yeah, we'll just try to copycat like other records. But for the most part, as far as guitar tones go, we're definitely not the guitar geeks that know a lot about that. You know, for as much guitar as we play and as much that we always have one in our hands. Anytime like somebody walks up, like a fan will walk up to us and be like, "Oh, have you ever tried out like this cab or this blah blah blah?" Like I can't keep up with those conversations at all.
So you guys just play by feel? I mean, you just know, you know, power chords and several chords and play like that? Or I mean, like I know even Dave Grohl, I've seen interviews with him where he said, I don't know the name of this chord, I just know it sounds cool. I mean,
right.
Is that how you guys write? Or
I took lessons for like 6 or 8 years, but I mean, my teacher pretty much, like, I mean, I went to school for music too, and I just have the hardest time doing that. We pretty much pick out everything by ear. Like, in fact, me and Taylor do a lot of acoustic shows together, and
nice.
do a lot of Beatles songs.
Okay.
Every song we learn, there's like 5 chord shapes that we have never even seen before.
yeah.
Who sings when you guys do the acoustic shows?
Beatles songs. Ridiculous.
Which one of you two sings when you do the acoustic shows?
We both do.
Oh, okay. So everybody in the band can sing pretty much then. Nice.
Yeah, it's nice for us to do that. I mean, my brother helps us out on a few songs and such, but I feel like there's like a fairly big gap in between our vocal abilities and Chris's, so this has been a nice way to like kind of pick up the slack a little bit. We're getting used to singing more now and stuff.
Okay. You guys said that, you know, you're not guitar geeks or anything like that. Are you particular about your equipment though? I mean, do you play a Fender Strat and you'll only play that? What kind of gear are you rocking right now, guitar-wise?
I mean, there's only one particular thing in my line of equipment that I hold dear and hold on to, and that again came across a whole recording process and just trying to find the right tone. But the tone we found came out of using a TV 6505 plus head.
Okay.
And we were just renting that at the time, but I just fell so deeply in love with how good it made the guitar sound that is my one piece of equipment that I hold dear and keep an eye on.
Okay.
Everything pretty much just because, you know, we're your typical broke LA band. Everything else is pretty much, you know, we're just getting by. I have a 1960 reissue Les Paul.
Okay, nice.
That thing plays like butter, but my amp's nothing special. Something I would want to talk about.
What's the hardest part about being on the road? You know, when like you said before, being on Warped Tour will drain you and drives you insane at least at one point. But what is the hardest part? Is it being away from friends and family? Is it trying to eat healthier or eat even well on the road? Is it just being on the bus with the guys too much? What's the hardest part about being on the road?
All of the things named are definitely rough. I think Warped Tour is kind of a separate thing from normal touring, to be honest. Like, you almost don't even have time to, like, be bummed about something.
Right.
14-hour day, and then you drive to the next venue overnight. Like, I'm pretty sure I lost almost 15 pounds the first time we did it.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, like no joke. It's pretty rough. But I mean, even normal touring is like not easy at all. But I mean, you know, at the same time, as much as it's rough, it's also like my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you kind of nailed it on the head there with, like, whether it's Warped Tour or any tour, like a do-it-yourself tour or an across the seas tour. The biggest concern and the thing that needs to keep the tour moving is you and your health, and like how you're doing, and that's something that's so easy to lose track of, just like your diet, or
Sure.
or if you're too much of a party animal and you're drinking too much, and how quickly that can just come back to like bite you in the ass, and you can just like get sick like the drop of a hat. So for me personally, the biggest current concern for me is health, for sure, and just making sure you're okay and can make it to the next day. Because it's so easy to want to try to be like, the martyr and like just push on, and after you drove 8 hours, you're gonna like keep going. Like, no, it's just like
somebody else did.
Yeah, you gotta be realistic at some point in time and take care of your body and take a nap or something.
That's a good point, because I think a lot of bands underestimate the importance of, like you said, health. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you can't drink or do drugs or, whatever you want to do, but you still have to put on a good show for your fans at the end of the day. So if your voice sounds like crap, or, you pass out on stage, like Steven Tyler or something, then you're not helping anybody. You're not winning any fans that way.
And it so easily shows, it's not something that you can that easily hide when you're on stage. Like, it's there, People are watching your every move, so
That's right.
You got to be able to perform.
And once you're out there on the road, it's a lot harder to like keep up with promoting, just with all the long drives and sound checks and everything. So, once you're on the road, all you really have to keep going and make that money is to perform well. So you got to take that into account.
Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot here on the show. It's probably our number one message that we put out. Music isn't just to be heard; it's to be experienced. So definitely go see bands like AllurA. That's pretty much how you guys make most of your money. On tour, right? And merch sales, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's that like as a sort of a newer band coming up in this era of digital music and piracy and torrents and all that kind of stuff? How does that affect you? When you were kids, I'm sure you bought the occasional CD or something, and you maybe didn't think twice about downloading somebody's music for free or whatever. But how has that affected you guys business wise and as artists?
You know what? It's really tough. I think it's still affecting us to this day, and I feel like it's still something that we need to adapt to somehow. Because we very much are still those kids that grew up like buying albums, like buying CDs and listening to the CD from front to back.
Absolutely.
And people just don't do that anymore. And so we personally need to find a new marketing way or just selling point of trying to get people to listen to our albums somehow, whether it's only one song or a music video or live. It's just really hard to get somebody to sit down and listen to an entire album from front to back. But to this day, I think we're still struggling and adapting to that. I don't think there's really anything that we've done that is meshing with this new digital era that can set us ahead or break standards at all. Like we're still just trying to keep up. It's honestly crazy how fast it's evolving and changing. It blows my mind.
I will say that, like, on tour at least, or even at any shows, like, even though, like, CDs isn't the main way people listen to music, I have found, like, if, like, one of my other bands doesn't have CD to sell at shows, and it is a big thing still, like, for, like, live to be like, oh, it's like, we actually have, a CD to show, like,
right.
For, and, like, that kind of puts you at a different level, and also it's just like something that people can buy and like at least check out a little bit.
So on a somewhat related note, I've heard a few metal bands lately try to go a little more electronic, at least in their production as well, where they try to either incorporate dubstep or at least try to incorporate more electronic. Do you see you guys moving in that direction as well, or are you one of the purists that wants to stay with metal at the purest form?
There are little sounds. There's bits in our album that have electronics to it. I think the furthest that we would move to it, though, is just like a hint of it, you know.
Right.
I don't think we'll ever be a band that has like a sixth member up there that's either working like a keyboard or a turntable or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just the small effects of it are very enjoyable, and I think that they make a huge difference and completely can change song in a good way. I think it's but in bringing this up, I think you're absolutely right. Where there are a lot of metal bands that are doing that and incorporating that into their music. And as far as metal goes, you can't have too much of that, otherwise it's just not metal. You know?
Yeah, there are some of those bands that kind of tread that line, like Asking Alexandria comes to mind, where they have the electronic will come in there and that kind of thing, and there's just so many subgenres these days.
Yeah, it's tough to keep up with. Yeah,
I mean, it's fun to be able to write that stuff into your music and all, but like, you know, at the end of the day, like, I want to play my guitar like on stage, like, no one, something else taking that spot.
You don't want to be replaced by a laptop. That makes sense for sure.
Exactly.
If you guys knew, I mean, you're right. You're young now, but if you knew you only had time in your life to listen to one more song, now you can listen to it or you can perform it, yours or anybody else's. What is the last song, the last musical notes you want in your head?
The last piano chord that happens at the end of A Day in the Life by the Beatles.
Okay.
Good call.
Where they just kind of smash the piano at the end, like.
That's a good way to go out. I like that.
Yeah, that's solid. That could stick in my head forever for sure.
Oh man, I'd like to think like one of my own songs in my head right before I go.
And which one?
First thing that came to my head was an AFI song that actually have a line tattooed on me, Days of the Phoenix, off of The Art of Drowning. That's like one of my all-time favorites, if not my favorite song. So that might be it.
Nice. What's the line you have tattooed?
I fell into yesterday.
Ah,
nice.
Of course.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it. Well, what can we expect coming up here? Like we said, the last album you guys released in 2011, which was True Colors, phenomenal from what we've heard of that. When can we expect, I know you're touring in kind of California and Arizona and that sort of thing right now, but next album, when can we see that? When can we see you across the country?
We have all that, and then we have we'll be out for like about 2 weeks in February and March as well. But we definitely need to start cracking down on the writing process and getting that going.
Yeah, I think one of the AllurA resolutions was to just sit down again and just start writing. Because as of right now, we don't really have a plan to get back into the studio besides doing like a couple like extra tracks / covers for like bonus recording. But that is basically one of AllurA's New Year's resolutions, is to sit down and start writing again, and hopefully by the end of 2013 we'll have another full album, not necessarily recorded, but ready to track.
Good, yeah. Get on it, guys. We're waiting for some new stuff. Just love everything that comes out of you. So,
all right.
appreciate everything that you do. And again, it's the honesty in the music, and it's just good music, which is more rare than people think these days. People are buying a lot of music that sucks and is commercial. So we appreciate everything that you guys do. And again, AllurA Band, ALLURA band.com. is the way to go to check these guys out. If you're looking for the porn star, the bra, the rims,
wedding band,
or the wedding band, that's something completely different. So, or maybe you guys do sell that too. I don't know. Who knows? In any case, guys, we appreciate it. We'll be back here in a few minutes. I'm E. He's the Colonel. This is Across the Board here on hawkradio.org
and acrosstheboardradio.com.